This video does not follow the rules. What I'm about to tell you is going to ruffle a few feathers, but I'm not here to protect the cruise lines. I want to make sure that you get the absolute most out of that vacation that you paid for. And too many cruisers think they have to follow all of the rules, but if you do that, you are going to lose out. I'm about to give you the 9 cruise rules that you should definitely break, starting with the most controversial one of all. I'm Gary with Optimal Cruising, bringing you fresh cruise advice, money-saving hacks, and secret strategies the cruise lines don't advertise. I don't like chair hogs, I don't want to be a chair hog, and most cruise lines have rules against chair hogs, but they're rarely enforced. So if you don't break this rule, you're going to lose out. The brutal truth is, too many people are chair hogs. So if you don't play the game, you're not going to get that spot that you want, and you're going to be disappointed almost every day of your cruise. If you show up on the Lido deck, especially on a sea day, looking for a chair after 8:30 or 9 a.m., you're going to see rows of chairs lined with towels and people's things, even just a simple book on one, and almost nobody sitting in those chairs. Yes, of course this is wrong, but everybody's doing it and the cruise lines don't typically enforce it. They have rules that your stuff will be removed after 30 minutes, but you rarely see that happen. Personally, I don't take a chair and leave it abandoned for hours, but many people do. I have sat in my chair that I woke up at 7 o'clock to secure and waited for my family to get up and join me, left maybe for 20 minutes for breakfast, came right back to it, and all during that time, all the chairs around me were occupied, but nobody was there. For a lot of people, it's tough to break this rule because it just doesn't seem nice. Until cruise lines start enforcing the chair hog rule, you just have to break it or you're gonna miss out on that spot you want by the pool or on the sun deck. Okay, so let me have it. I want to hear where you stand on this issue. Put it in the comments below. And this next item is specifically set up by cruise lines to line their own pockets. When I first started cruising, there was an expectation set up by the cruise lines and some experts out there that you have to book an excursion for every port day during your cruise. And they'll tell you that these things are going to sell out and you'll have nothing to do when you're at a port of call if you don't plan ahead and book all these things. Well, actually, sometimes it's best to just not do anything at a port of call. The unwritten rule that you can't skip a port day or you're going to miss out is just plain wrong. In fact, if you've been on more than one cruise, you've probably repeated ports more than once. You might as well skip that port day and stay on the cruise ship. This way, you can enjoy that cruise ship about 1/3 full, meaning you can have the pool empty, you can go in the hot tubs without being in a can of sardines. This is an especially great thing to do if you're on one of those newer mega ships with all the bells and whistles, because even during a 1-week cruise, if you're getting off at every port, you're not going to have time to explore it all. So a port day that you skip is a great way to take advantage of that mega cruise ship resort. And then frankly, if you get off at every port and have an excursion planned at every port of call, by the end of that cruise, you're probably going to be a bit exhausted. Now, while there was a time when this next rule was strictly enforced, that's not the case anymore. When I first started cruising, I always got late time windows to board the ship, usually like 1:30 to 2:30, and I want to get on the ship early before it gets packed and crowded. But I didn't realize that this is a rule that can be broken, and you can break it too in most cases. Now, cruise lines will email you and tell you to only show up during your specific boarding time. But even cruise lines like Carnival that do that, they have a separate line for people who show up early, and usually it's not crowded and they let you go right in and check in and board the ship. And in the worst case, they might have you wait in a line for 15 minutes or so, but you'll still get on early. And for a lot of people, it's a big advantage to get on early. For one, you can eat in a more peaceful environment. You can explore the ship without bumping elbows with everybody. If you need the elevators, you can probably use them a little easier the earlier you board, because the more people that get on that ship on embarkation day, those elevators get cram-packed and crowded. Now, there are two occasions that I've experienced where this doesn't really work, and that is if you are booked on a Disney cruise. They tend to hold tight to those embarkation times, so you want to watch out for that. And also, if you book one of the newer mega ships like Star of the Seas and it's fully booked, they might hold tighter to your specific embarkation time for better crowd management. But in most cases, you can walk on board anytime during their boarding process without regard to your assigned embarkation time. When you go on a cruise, do you usually stick to that time slot, or do you just try to get on early? Let me know in the comments below. Cruisers are always asking me what they need to pack to dress properly for formal night. And the truth is, this rule about having to dress up for formal night is just meant to be broken. In fact, most cruisers these days do not dress up to the nines. Now, you will see people wearing suits and formal gowns on these nights, but if you just dress business smart, a polo shirt for men, a nice blouse for women, slacks or a skirt, you'll be fine. You'll be fine, honestly, even wearing shorts, as many people do that these days, even on formal night. And most cruise lines don't really enforce the formal night dress code anyway, so as long as you're not a man showing up in a tank top to the main dining room or a woman in a bathing suit, you're probably going to be just fine, and you don't have to worry about lugging all those fancy clothes on your cruise vacation. And then there is an unwritten rule that cruise lines try to scare cruisers into following. I bought right into this rule myself when I first started cruising, because the cruise lines sold it to me on fear. They said, if you don't book your shore excursions directly with us, you're not going to be on a safe excursion and you could miss the ship. But ask yourself, do you know anybody who has ever missed their ship by booking a third-party shore excursion? It's because it rarely, if ever, happens. If you book your shore excursions with a private provider like Viator or Shore Excursions Group, I have links to both of them in my description, you will find that the group size is much smaller. You might be on a snorkel tour with 10 people versus 60 if you book with the cruise line. How much fun is it going to be snorkeling with 60 other people around you? And not to mention the price. Cruise lines charge 40 or 50% more, sometimes as much as 100% more than what you can find with local providers. And a dirty little secret is that cruise lines don't even operate their own tours. They outsource these to local groups on the islands or ports where the ship is docking. If you want an authentic local excursion without feeling like you're being herded like cattle, you have to break this rule and get over that fear of missing the ship. These local providers, they know the times that the ships have to leave. That's their business. And most of these tours are scheduled to get you back to the ship 2 to 3 hours before it's scheduled to leave. It's very unlikely you're going to have any problem. And if you're still worried about that, try Shore Excursions Group. They actually have a back to the ship guarantee. If they don't get you back on your ship, they will pay to get you to the next port of call, along with all of your accommodations, and give you $1,000 just for the trouble. Now, if you like the idea of saving money on those shore excursions, you're definitely going to want to break this next rule. If you've ever watched an advertisement from a cruise line, you're always going to see them showing off their beautiful views from the balcony cabins. You're never going to see him show you an inside cabin. And there's kind of an unwritten rule among a lot of experts, especially if you're a first-time cruiser, that you really got to book that balcony. After all, it's your first cruise and you want to experience the open ocean right there in your own room. But there are some advantages to breaking this rule. For some people, an inside cabin is actually better. For one thing, it's a whole lot less expensive. It also gets a lot darker and generally more quiet than the balcony cabins. And if that helps you sleep, you're going to enjoy that sleep better in an interior room. And on the other hand, there's many cruisers who swear by the balcony and they won't cruise without them. But if you're a first-time cruiser, you don't have to follow that rule. You can think about what would work better for you. And if you're an active person who's going to be out and about the ship most of the time, try the inside. It might just work out better for you. Breaking this next rule can save you a big headache and even some money. But first, if you have any questions about this or cruising in general, put them in the comments below. I'll do my best to get back to you. For some reason, there seems to be an unwritten rule in cruising that the first night of the cruise, you have to go and eat in the main dining room. And I can't figure this one out. It seems that that's all everybody does, and it's jam-packed. Not only is everybody trying to figure out where their table is or even messing up on the time that they're supposed to be in the main dining room, but there's all kinds of people trying to change their tables or change their dining time, and it's just a chaotic mess. The waiters, the staff, they're trying to deal with all this confusion on day one. By day 2, day 3, things have settled down and some people aren't even showing up for their main dining room time, and you'll have a more pleasant experience after the first day. So what you can do is break this rule and on day 1, book a specialty dining restaurant. Treat yourself a little bit. In many cases, you can find a good deal on specialty dining on night 1 because those restaurants tend to be more empty on that first day. Now, the cruise lines want you to think that this next rule cannot be broken, but I'm here to tell you otherwise. When I get good service, whether it be from a waiter or my room steward, I like to reward them personally. But the cruise lines have taken this ability away from us, or at least that's what they want us to think. They tell you that you have to pay automatic gratuities through the cruise line. And these are going to silently show up on your onboard bill at some point during your cruise. Sometimes it's a lump sum put on there. Some cruise lines add it every day. But this is a rule that can be broken if you prefer to tip in cash, like me. And I have a full video on this subject and how the gratuity process actually works. I'm going to link it in the description for you if you're interested. All you have to do to break this rule is go to guest services after those charges have appeared on your account and ask them to be removed and tell them you're tipping with cash instead. I always bring more than enough cash with me to take care of my service personnel because I want them to be rewarded from the service that they're giving me instead of pooling my gratuities for the cruise line to do who knows what with. And breaking this next rule saves me a huge hassle every time I cruise. I'm going to get to that next, but first, if you've enjoyed this video so far, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. It helps us grow and continue to bring you cruising updates. If you've ever been on a cruise, unless you have loyalty status that gives you priority for disembarking the ship, you're going to be put in a group and put in a sequence of numbers for when you can actually get off that ship. And this has to do with how they handle the luggage so that they can get all the luggage coordinated and off the ship in time. And they're going to make you wait, sometimes for hours, before you can actually get off the ship. But you don't have to follow this rule. If you're able to carry all of your luggage off the ship with you, don't put it out the night before for them to collect. Get up early, get ready to leave, and take all your bags with you. You'll be the first group off the ship, ahead of everybody else, first through customs, avoid all of those lines, and then first to get in a taxi or Uber or whatever you need to get where you're going. Cruise lines call this self-assist debarkation, and I know not everybody can do it, but if you're able to, it's a much smoother way to get off the ship ahead of the crowds and not have to sit around waiting, wondering when your number is going to be called. So now that you know 9 cruise rules that you should actually break, there are some important rules that you definitely need to follow. I'll tell you all about those right here.